Welcome back to Two Aussie Thrifters. In today's video, we are going to do a full year breakdown of our profits and revenue. So obviously you guys know that we run a very high overhead business. We have a warehouse to pay for, we have staff to pay for. So we're gonna run through exactly what our year looked like on eBay this year and where we ended up, because I think that's an important part of sharing this journey with you guys so you can understand whether this is going to work for you. Obviously your model might be completely different to ours and your overheads might be different, but if you're running an eBay business, there are going to be costs involved. So I think it's an important thing to share. Saying all of that, we actually have some big increases that are coming up for this business. So our rent has gone up $7,000 a year, which is a big increase. So we need to make sure we cover that in next financial year. We are also hoping to ramp up and add some more staff and some more hours to our business. So we have a lot to consider, which means we need to make more money next year. Before we do that, I want to talk about a couple things that we have been doing this end of financial year to make sure that the next financial year, the one we're in right now, is better and more efficient. So you might see some gaps developing over here. Let's just say we're going to be elevating our business to a new level. You guys can guess what that is going to involve in the comments below. But we are also doing a big stock take. We've actually taken a whole bunch of CDs off the shelf and taken them to an auction. So I actually flicked to some footage of that because we did that last week to try and get it in the financial year and show you what that process looked like. And then I'm gonna come back and talk about some of our numbers and a big update on our spreadsheet. All right, guys, it is that time of year, end of financial year, which means we need to do a bit of a cleanup, a bit of a stock take, and make sure all of our numbers are sorted for end of financial year. We've actually made a pretty big purchase, which will be coming in the next couple of weeks. So we do need to sort some stuff out in the warehouse. And today we're actually going to be pulling some old stock from our store and sending it off to auction to make sure it falls within this financial year and we can get some of that money back into our pocket. So we're actually going to be pulling a whole bunch of our CDs from our shelving. We've had this stuff for over a year now. We have sold through a whole bunch of it, and it is now time to clear it out. CDs isn't a category that we're going to be doing ongoing, and we've made our money on this stuff, so it's time to send it to auction and hopefully get some money back. So I'm show you what we're actually pulling today from this lot, and we'll follow that auction through in a further video to let you know what we ended up pulling out of it. All right, guys, so what I'm doing is actually sorting these into similar types of categories, or I guess categories that I think are going to sell well. So I've kind of done like a nice little mix of like high-end, mids, and some lower-end stuff here as well. I've actually just sent 9 boxes off to auction rooms already, and we've probably got another maybe 12 that we need to go through here. Obviously, that's a lot of CDs, and we did have a lot in stock. It's not something we want to continue doing going forward, and we've definitely made our money on this. So I think I just pulled like 2,000 listings from our store, which I wouldn't recommend doing all at once, but for us, this isn't the direction we are going to be going in the future. So it's better for us to get this money back into our account and so we can use it on some better stock going forward. So definitely keen to hear what you guys are up to end of financial year, if you've got any big plans for next financial year as well. I'm going to keep chipping away at this and we're going to talk some numbers. We haven't finalized our numbers for the year, but tonight, which is actually Tuesday night, we are going live on our membership group with Ethan from Rushock Accounting. So he's going to be talking all things tax. You can watch that back on the replay if you wanted to join that membership for as little as $4.99 per month, $4.99. And you can get all that information essentially for that price. So if you want to go check that out, you can join now. We also have a Discord with that available, but I'm going to keep chipping away at these CDs and then come back and talk to you about some numbers. All right, guys, I have just run our FY numbers and I'm keen to share those results with you. But before we get into that, I want to tell you how we actually track all of this and tell you how you can track your FY results this new financial year. The last 3 years, we've been putting out a spreadsheet for you guys to use, a super simple spreadsheet, and we have now updated that for the new FY 25-26. I'll link both the GST and the non-GST version in the description below so you guys can jump over there. We've always tried to make this spreadsheet as easy as possible to use because it is essentially what we are using to track all of our numbers in our business, and we know that you guys want to make it nice and simple as well. So essentially we have a few tabs. We have a dashboard tab which gives you an overview of the whole year in a snapshot so you can see all your costs and profits, a bit of a profit and loss breakdown, and also what is costing you what in a little bit of a pie graph. Then we also go into the tax view, which is essentially where you're going to enter all your information on a weekly basis, which is then followed up by a budget, which is more of a cash flow centric sort of spreadsheet, which gives you all the information you need to know about how much money you should have actually in your account at any given point in time. We also have return trackers and donation trackers so that you can track all that information, as well as a tax view for the end of financial year, so you can just give that straight to your tax accountant. They'll have most of the information they're going to need to complete your tax return, and they may ask you for some additional receipts or whatever they may want. But essentially, this spreadsheet is designed to be very simple, only 3 tabs you need to update at any given point in time. And as per usual, we are doing a pay what you feel model with a $10 minimum just to cover our costs. So whatever you think you want to pay for this spreadsheet, jump over to the website, grab your copy. And if you do want a Google Sheet, I have actually created a version this year, but I'm gonna have to send you your own copy because there's some issues with saving and updating. So just let me know if you do want a Google Sheet version, and I will email you that directly as well. So let's jump into our numbers for this year, and I will tell you exactly what we made, what we are trying to make next year, and how we see this business progressing. All right, guys, let's get into these all important numbers and also our percentage. Now I'm going to share with you a breakdown of each eBay store and the revenue and the percentage if we hit it or not. I'm also going to run through our other revenue streams, which include auctions, wholesale, local sales, and I'm also going to talk about our YouTube revenue, which we haven't talked about before, is a very small component of our actual total revenue. So you guys will actually see that our main revenue comes 100%, well, 99% from our eBay streams. So let's get into it. All right, let's get into these numbers. So for FY 24-25, our goal was to hit $600,000, and we had a goal of around 28% profit margin. So let's go through eBay store by store and tell you if I'm happy or unhappy with this. So eBay store 1 is obviously our main store. We had budgeted to hit $480,000 for this store. Now, we only managed to hit $428,105.99, which is 89% of projected revenue. I'm not too concerned about this because we did move some stuff across to some other stores and we invested some time in some other places. So I would have liked this to be obviously closer to 480, but we've made it up in other areas, so that's okay. eBay store 2, which is our media store essentially, we got to $49,471.48, so we missed out by $530, which is 98.94%. Pretty happy with that, pretty much on target. Couple $100 either way is not going to be a big deal. eBay store 3, we smashed that one out of the water. So this is our outlet store, all the new stock that we're getting. We had a goal of $10,000. It was a brand new store, just trying to build it up, but we made $21,000 on that store. So very happy with that one. We made up some cash there on some of the other streams. Auctions was one that we only budgeted $10,000 for. We didn't think it was going to be a big revenue stream for us, but we did run that big auction in the warehouse next door, and we ended up making $20,085. So doubled essentially what we needed to do there. Wholesale was probably the big mover this year. So we projected for $50,000 because essentially we were doing almost zero prior to this year, and we'd done $112,144. Now, that sounds like a big number, but the percentage on that is very small, and that has affected our total percentage overall. So I will talk about that in a second. Other is just like local sales, just bits and pieces here and there, $6,619.34. So we absolutely smashed our goal of $1,000. We don't do a lot of Facebook Marketplace or anything like that. So that's the one that's going to evolve over the next year, I'd say. So let's talk about YouTube. YouTube, obviously for us, is a very, very small amount of revenue, $8,010 for the whole year. This includes the membership that we're doing as well. So there's no extra amount that's being added onto this. We didn't have any sponsorship deals that came through this year. We do have some stuff coming up this coming year, which is pretty awesome. A very small percentage considering everything else we're making. Now, one of the reasons I wanted to point that one out and talk a little bit about that one is I think a lot of YouTubers, a lot of us that create content around reselling get a little bit of a bad rap for making a lot of money on YouTube. And that may be the case for some people, but for us, it is definitely a very small percentage, a secondary or even a fifth or sixth line of income that comes in the door. And for the amount of work we put into it, that is a very small amount of money. So I just wanted to make that very clear because I think that there's an assumption out there that us YouTubers are making silly money on YouTube, and there are people that are making really good money on YouTube, but it's definitely not us at this point in time. All right, let's get into the total revenue for the year. So our eBay revenue, if you want to call that, reselling made us $642,665.22. If you add the YouTube into that, we made $650,000. So that's a nice little result there. Now this is the most important percentage that you will see on this stream, 25.11% profit. out of this $642,000? So out of that $642,000, we made $161,379.65. And essentially that is the wages that we are paying ourselves. Because we are a business, obviously we have to take wages. Now, the only thing I haven't split out of there is our staff wages. So I think with our staff on there, there's probably about 20,000, 25,000 between our employee on site and also our VA. And then we've also got a little bit of company profit after that. So essentially the company this year, which is the expenses after everything, including the wages we paid ourselves, made almost $25,000. There is going to be some reduction there because we did make a little bit of a late purchase to kind of reduce our tax, which we'll talk about in a couple of weeks when it arrives. But essentially, out of that total $642,000, we had about $120,000, $130,000 that we could essentially pay to our wages or reinvest back into the business. So that $640,000 sounds like a huge number, but I wanted to show you the reality of running a business like this and essentially how much money we are putting in our pocket. Next financial year, we are hoping to up that a little bit more because we have some new revenue streams coming in the door. So now we've got all of this financial year done. I'm going to take a picture of this and I'm going to clean it off and we're going to start from scratch. That's the great thing, and also the scariest thing about a new financial year is you are starting back from zero. So we have some big goals next year. I'm going to put them on the board and we're going to talk through them as well. All right, I'm not sure if you guys can see that correctly, but we have a new goal board for FY 25-26. So we need to get rid of that and we need to get rid of our goal. So for FY 25-26, we are going to continue to keep obviously our main eBay stores hopefully pumping. So our main store, we're going to aim for $450,000 this next financial year. So we have decreased that by $30,000, but you'll see why, because I'm kind of spreading some stuff out here as well. eBay store 2, our goal is to hit 50,000 again. So that's essentially keeping that steady, same sort of value, same sort of revenue coming through that stream. Hopefully the profit percentage stays about the same on that one. And eBay store 3, we're going to go for 20,000 again. I think we can kind of maintain that based on the stock that's coming through for that level as well. Now, auctions for the next financial year, we want to do 20,000 again. Wholesale, we're going to try and ramp up to $120,000. Now, that is a little bit of a stretch because I think we've kind of found where we fit within that market, but we're going to go for 120 and we will see where we land on that one. And the new one that we are adding in is Whatnot. So if you guys have followed along, we have just started up a Whatnot stream. I actually talk about our next Whatnot show right now. All right, guys, we have a Whatnot show this Friday at 4 o'clock. If you haven't been on Whatnot yet, I will link a link in the description and you can get $15 for free towards your first purchase. This week, we're actually doing a whole bunch of 90s collectibles and little mini figurines. We have a whole bunch that we'll be sending live. Come on over and join us in the chat, grab some cool stuff, and we are going to continue to pump Whatnot for this next year. And we're going to try and do every Friday night. We do have a little bit of a challenge that we're going to run over the next couple of weeks, so stay tuned for that one as well. But we've really been enjoying what we've been doing over on Whatnot, and we are chasing collections and stuff that people are happy to do 50% split on. So if you have some stuff that you think would do well on Whatnot, you don't really want to do it yourself, we're happy to put in the time and we can split the money 50-50. Back to the video. So for Whatnot and other streams, local pickups and stuff like that, we actually want to do $30,000 on this year. So you guys can help us by jumping over, pinning those shows and giving us a follow and jumping on and grabbing yourself some really cool stuff as well. So we're going to add $30,000 to that stream. And we're hoping to add a little bit of revenue to our YouTube. As I said, it's only ever a small amount. So we're going to aim for $10,000 for that one this year, which means our overall revenue goal for 25-26 is going to be $700,000, which means we need to increase our revenue by over $50,000 this year. So big challenge ahead, a lot of work to be done, but let's add that to the board. So I hope today's video is giving you a bit of a realistic view of what it takes to run a business like this. Yes, if you're running it from home, your profit percentages could be much higher than we are. If you don't have staff, you don't have the warehouse costs, you don't have all the little things that come along with running a business like this. But it does take a lot of work. So we never want to oversell or over exaggerate what we are making as resellers. This is not a crazy get rich quick scheme. This is a lot of hard work, but it's what we love. And we are actually replacing our pre-reseller income when we combine mine and Jazzy's wage. So hopefully as we move forward into 25, 26, we can continue to increase this revenue, and hopefully next year we'll also be able to show you a higher percentage profit, because that's the goal, right? You want to increase the profit. Revenue doesn't really mean much at all. You could be doing $1 million and making 1% profit. It doesn't really tell the full story. So I hope this video has given you a full insight into what it's like to run a business like we are right now. Thanks so much for being here, and we'll see you next time on 2 Aussie Thrifters. Oh, and don't forget to get your spreadsheet.